welcome back to Lex Reads. So in today's video, we are going to do a recommendations or books that I like that are not by Black authors. Now, I don't have a lot. I only have 5 because I mainly read African American literature. The reason for that basically is, I grew up in a white neighborhood, white high school, and there was no African American literature. So when I got, an older and really got back into reading, my main focus is to read African American literature. But I do have some that are not by us Blacks that I really do enjoy, and I wanted to talk about them and share them with you because there's some good ones. So the first one is Night by, I think his name is Eli Wiesel. It's about the Holocaust. I remember reading this book in high school. I was a sophomore in high school. It was our required reading. And this is one of the first books that made me cry because obviously it's talking about the Holocaust, but it's a particular scene when the main character, his father literally dies in his arms, and the way that he wrote that was unbelievable. Like, you literally see everything in this book. You can smell everything that went on when it came to the concentration camps. And it's so sad because he was separated from his little sister. His little sister was like maybe 4 or something at the time, and he said she had like a little red coat on. It so sad. And the fact that this book is so little pages, it's like 112 pages, and he packed all of that in this book. I mean, the Holocaust, come on now, that's just a beauty of a good writer. But this book is really hard to read. I only can read it like maybe every 3 years, if that, because it pulls at my heart. Next is The Glass Menagerie by Tennessee Williams. Now, this is a play. I adore this. This is always going to have a special place in my heart because my aunt, who was a English and drama teacher, she talked about this play. She loved it. And I love the ending when Tom, because it's Tom, Amanda, and Laura, I think that's the character's name. Laura's kind of like a little, I would say, childlike. You would kind of maybe say she's has some mental challenge issues. But the ending when he, says, blow out that candle, Laura, and say goodbye. It's just, it reminds me so much of my aunt. So you see, I can't even talk because this book just means so much to me. Oh my goodness, I love it. Please get into The Glass Menagerie. Tennessee Williams was a brilliant playwright. He also did A Streetcar Named Desire, I believe. And I really did enjoy that one too. Next is The Great Gatsby, of course. F. Scott Fitzgerald. I mean, you just have to say The Great Gatsby and people just know about it. And I think one thing that gets me is too, F. Scott Fitzgerald, he always felt like he was not a good writer. He felt like, everything that he wrote was just not good enough. And this, when it came out, it really didn't sell that a lot of copies. It was after he died that it just became a phenomenon. And I mean, come on now, these characters are just iconic. Daisy and Jay Gatsby, and who else? Tom Buchanan. I mean, come on. One thing too that got me is, although there's no accountability, especially when it comes to Tom and Daisy, but it always irks my soul how Gatsby was treated. It honestly did, because he wanted to be loved and he adored Daisy, and Daisy was just so self-centered, and again, no accountability. But the way he wrote this was just brilliant. And this is another example of writing in fewer pages and telling a well-rounded story. This story is not even 200 pages and it packs a punch. I mean, come on now. Yes. Next is The Reader by Bernard Schlink. This one, Lord, this is also about the Holocaust, but it's about a young man. He is having one day he is coming home from school and he's really sick, and it's this lady that's coming home from work. Her name's Hannah, and she helps him because like I said, he's really, really sick, and he ends up having, I think, like scarlet fever or something like that. But he remembers how she helped him out, and he tells his mom, maybe I should, like, send her something. She's like, what's her address? We'll send her something. So he goes and give her some flowers. And then one thing leads to another, and they have a affair over the summer. Now, the problem is Hannah's about 30 something and he is like 15. Michael's his name. So yeah. And although it sounds really bad because clearly that was like statutory rape, and that's a serious matter, but the way he wrote it, it almost didn't feel like ew, like, girl, you should know better, like you dealing with a child. I don't know, it's real weird. Again, I don't I don't play with stuff like that, but the way he wrote it, it almost kind of like passed it a little bit. But then one day she just disappears, and some years later he sees her, and it's in a very not good circumstance, because I'll tell the whole thing. It also was a movie with Kate Winslet. She actually won an Academy Award for this in 2008 or 9. I highly recommend it. If you guys don't read the book, at least watch the movie, because it is amazing. It grips you. This man knows how to write, and this story is just incredible. Just incredible. And lastly is an nonfiction autobiography, which is very out of my comfort zone because I really don't fool with nonfiction autobiographies. That's just not my style. But this one I had to get into, and it is Monica's Story. Is written by Andrew Morton. He also wrote Princess Di's autobiography, Diana, Her True Story. That's what it was called. But this, a couple years ago, I don't know why, I became obsessed with learning about Monica Lewinsky and the Lewinsky scandal, because that, when you really learn and go deep into that, it was a movie. The fact that she was confining in Linda Tripp, and Linda Tripp was taping these phone conversations, and when she met her, she had a wire on. I mean, guys, it was a movie. And this story, her autobiography, it didn't read like autobiography. It actually read like a book. She describes, everything from her childhood. She describes meeting, President Clinton, and working in the White House as an intern. What Monica did was wrong. What both of them did was wrong. But the fact that, Monica was almost like floundering. She couldn't find a job. No one would hire her, because of what happened, because of the affair. And Bill Clinton just kind of went on and did, what he needed to do. And she kind of, just was kind of out there trying to find herself, trying to get a job. And this is really good because it's right kind of like during the time, because I think this came out in, let me see. This came out in 1999, and the story broke in 1995 or something like that. So it was still like real fresh and new, and she needed to do this book in order to make money because she had to pay her lawyers and everything. But you see why Monica is the way she is and what she did. She grew up in California, and I think San Francisco, and she talked about growing up, she was kind of privileged, a wealthy Jewish girl. She actually went to the same high school as Tori Spelling, and she said one year she was not invited to Tori Spelling's birthday party, and her mom, I think, ended up asking what's Tori's mom's name, Candy, why can she be invited or whatever. And of course Monica was like, well, I don't want to go now. But I thought it was funny how she mentioned that, because you think of Tori Spelling, you think of kind of like the mean girl, and it was like, ooh, maybe she wasn't playing that role, it really was her. But also too, the way that she like describes, you know, Bill Clinton, how he just has a way of capturing you. You felt like you're the only person in the room. And you know, that was one thing that attracted her to him. And she said he just paid a lot of attention to her. So you just get her side of the story. And you know, also too, she admits what she did was wrong. You know what I mean? She did take accountability. It just, you know, when you think of Monica Lewinsky, you think of the affair and you think of that one thing. It's just amazing how she was able to live and still be here and have to deal with that. You know, it's real complicated because it's like at one point it's like, girl, you knew what you was doing, you should have known better. But at the same time, it's like you feel sorry for her because of what happened. So it's real complicated, but I would suggest you guys read this. Also too, watch the series, what is it, impeachment series. Oh my goodness, it was so good. I tuned in to that every Tuesday when it came on because I wanted to know what was going to happen, and it told full detail of everything that happened. And she actually was a producer, so you guys check that out. It was really, really good. So yeah, guys, that's all I have when it comes to, you know, non-black authors that I like. Like I said before, I don't have a lot. Yeah, I don't have a lot, so that's all I'm gonna say. So yeah, guys, I'll be back with more black books. Bye.